Okay, so I wanted to go over a quick video on Windows settings for audio, and this is particularly audio latency and some other issues that may result. So first off, just following the little plan here, is the power settings. So what you'll notice is that Windows 11 has somewhat, I don't know if smurf's the right words, nerfed, something like that, the Windows audio settings. So they've added these energy efficient modes and stuff that maybe for corporations might make sense, but when you're making audio in Windows, you don't want to be in energy efficient modes, generally speaking, because they will mess around with audio. So you want to have basically performance and priority to the audio processes. All the Windows stuff is the secondary process. It's not the important process. Now, ideally you'd be offline, but sadly a lot of the audio is moving to online audio, and this creates a problem because if you're offline, the ability to disable a lot of Windows checks and balances for security features is done with more ease, but if you're online, it creates more of a problem. Obviously, if you have got all your software from the software company, then there's a certain amount of security in that software, so you may feel more comfortable in either removing or reducing it if you're not actually installing stuff or running new processes. There's always a risk, that's why you want to do backups, but if you already have all your data backed up, then the risk of running without special security features that add bloat to the system and cause it to slow down in performance is more of an issue. See, the reason is that a lot of people doing audio, they actually max out their system, and the system can start getting jitters and problems with latency. So the whole idea is to get the most juice out of your system. If you obviously have a tremendously good system and you never have problems with maxing out the performance, then it's not as big an issue. But if it is, the actual settings. So Windows has hidden ultimate performance mode in Windows. You can go to PowerShell, run it as an administrator, and just do powercfg duplicate scheme, blah, 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 blah. So that's the input there in the bold. I'm not going to retype it, but I may post it into the comments or description. And if there's any issues, you can add this to the registry setting, which is basically a power control, like it's under your power settings for the control set for Windows 11. That's what this means: system, current control set, control, and power. And then you want to get rid of how Windows has neutered the energy performance modes, and this unlocks the ultimate performance mode. The next big one is opening up system processor scheduling. I have mine set to what's known as 26. You may need to read into that a little bit. That might play something that's not mine. Oh, that's mine. Okay. Okay, so the sysdm.cpl, you go into the advanced tab and then the advanced tab again, and it will take you to processor scheduling. Basically what this is it says what in the foreground processes, like what you have open, and what in the background processes, like background Windows processes, has priority. So you can set this to a variety of settings. I have mine set to, I think, 26, which gives it 6 milliseconds delay for both, which makes it pretty responsive. I don't know what the ideal setting is. It probably depends on what processes you're running, because if you're just running a software application, foreground on that application makes sense, but if you have a lot of background processes running that are actually doing audio processing, it may matter more. The reason why I have it at the low or short is because I assume the more polling occurs, the more current the task schedule and the faster queues will be cleared. I don't really know if this is the case or not, but I'm experimenting with myself. I assume you may want to experiment with it also a bit. Just kind of turn this down a bit. Okay, so you will need to look into that more. I can't really explain it beyond that. There are charts. I'll try to maybe provide more information on that, but when you go into the control priority, you can change it back and forth, and then you can actually go into the registry, which I don't have written down here, but it is sort of in this area for current control priority, and it will have a decimal number that indicates the priority number, and depending on the number, it will create a different delay. You'll need to look at the table for that specifically, but for gaming, you may have a priority of 38 or 40. It just basically is going to be how quick inputs like mouse and keyboard will be registered and how quickly video and other stuff will be rendered. So it can affect how you experience the latency. And my assumption is a low latency, which is what I have set at 26 at 6 milliseconds for both, is going to be best for audio, but I could be wrong on that. So the next one is the priority settings. I don't know if this is going to work, but with FL Studio as an example here, you can go in and you can say that you have to go to the specific address or input this as a registry file like .reg, and it will input it. But it will say the lower the number here, the higher the priority for process execution. You can also set this through something like process lasso, but it basically means that I'm going to give priority to FL Studio. I don't know what all I need to give priority to, but I did for the EXE and the DLL, because I assume those are the major ones. But all the audio processes, if you do this for all the audio processes that are running, I would assume that they will be executed as early as possible in the queue, so they'll have queue priority, which means that you'll get less latency issues with it. This is an assumption. I don't know if this is what it's going to work in practice. So there are a bunch of other things that you can do for that. So I guess that is what I'm going to do for some of the energy efficiencies. The next one is actually your hardware, and all your hardware and USB stuff will also need to be all your hardware stuff will also need to be optimized. So that's like USB, your SSD, but I think I'll save that for another video. Yeah, so there's a lot more. So you want to turn off automatic updates. Obviously, turn off any extra Windows options, especially if you still have Cortana installed. It's supposed to be removed in the next update, 24H2. But you basically want to get rid of every Windows process that you don't actually need in the secondary. You want to disable it or remove it. You want to get rid of system sounds. That's not really a latency thing though. That's just like just random sounds happening when you click Windows actions. You want to turn off every single Windows privacy. Every single one of them. That if you don't need it, you may need to use your mic if you're not coming through some type of other process, but every one of these is just logging data, and you don't need any of them to run Windows. They're all just stuff that all these privacy settings just lets Windows take information from you, essentially, or lets applications take information from you. You probably won't need any of the privacy apps at all running, unless you have a specific application you use. Like say if you use Zoom or Discord, and you'll need to set that one up for that, but if you don't use it, you won't need it. For system startups, you can turn off everything that isn't related to your system. That may be antivirus type stuff, and maybe your like computer manufacturer, so they may have their own startup stuff, and certain Windows processes that you may use. Other than that, they're probably extra. You don't need them running. Every startup app you have running that isn't needed will just add bloat to the system, and will potentially have update processes in the background and all kinds of stuff like that. Now with Process Lasso, I'm not sure if I have it open right now. With Process Lasso, can I get this over here? Okay. So with Process Lasso, so there's my security, I guess. With Process Lasso, you're going to also be able to set individual. You're going to be able to set individual performance things. So efficiency mode, I've disabled efficiency modes because they mess around with the applications, especially when there's stuff that's maybe not in focus or open, but still is related to the audio processes. If it goes into efficiency mode, it can cause problems with the software. For the priority, you want to have it like on, okay, that's a performance pro function, but you want to have these at high performance settings as much as you can do without causing problems with it. But if you can even do real time, but it may cause jitter in the system. So if it works with that, it might be ideal to do that. It will basically put it at the highest priority possible. Whereas stuff that you don't really care if it's at a high priority, you can change the efficiency to a lower, like the helper.exe. I probably don't need it at all, and I can put it below normal or idle, and that won't really be a thing for me. I can also put it in idle, but if it's a needed process, that can cause a process to stall. And you need to know if these programs actually are going to interact with what you're doing, or they'll just be certain background processes that you don't even need. So like all this Internet Explorer stuff, you can probably put it into a low or idle state until it gets woken. You probably don't even need to run this stuff with it. For update processes, there's going to be a lot of updaters and other software that you really don't even need running. Like certain stuff you probably will need running, but any update processes, crash handlers, they really don't matter. Now, if you don't want to mess around with your Windows operating stuff, but if you know what a process does and you know you don't actually need it for your audio, and it's not going to actually be used for anything, like say a torrent stuff, if you're not using anything, you can put it into below normal because it's not a priority. If you're not, like say you have an Apollo installed and you actually aren't using the Apollo, then like if you're using plugins for UA, it may actually, some of the processes may be required, like UA Connect. But things like Performance Monitor or otherwise, they're not a lot of threads. They're not taking up a lot of process, but you probably wouldn't even need them running. So that's a quick touch on that. But yeah, you can turn anything you're not using into low priority so that it's lower in the queue, and anything that's more important you just put higher in the queue for priority class. Okay, so what else is there for setting specific CPUs? So you can also move processes to a specific CPU. Different CPUs may have different processes, but if you move all your least important processes to like say zone alarm, say I don't want it interrupting with my audio, like I can set specific CPUs to audio processes. Windows will manage all this itself, but say I want to clear up the processors for audio, then I can just remove every process I don't want running on the stuff I want to dedicate to audio. Like say I dedicate 4 cores to audio or 5 cores to audio, then only audio processes run on those cores. Maybe core 0 is also some system processes, but I can put just those processes there and they will basically have that thread to them, or that core to themselves, which will make it more efficient. Now, as long as you're not maxing out the cores, then it's no issue. Obviously, you can leave all the cores on for the audio, but if you could set specific software applications to specific cores if you know you won't need more. And there's also single core and multi-core processes. So knowing what of your software actually has single core processing will help you have a core dedicated to that process. There are multi-core processes optimized also. It depends on the software, and in those cases they can actually optimize for that themselves. You don't need to do it, but if it's a single core processing application, then you can just put it on one core that's all to itself and it should run optimally. So not sure what else I can actually so you want to turn off everything you're not using, so that's network and background processor scheduling. I think I sort of covered most of that. So USB settings, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to have to do system settings. Okay, hold on. System configuration, system information, control panel is what I actually need. Control device manager will be fine. So you can go to device manager. Okay. Okay, so in device manager, you can go to like USB, and these are like controller hosts. These are like hub slots, specific types of drivers, specific USB hosts. But for audio stuff, if you go to properties, under power management, make sure everything is allow this computer to turn off this device to save power is disabled. So a lot of devices will actually require this to be turned off. You don't want Windows to manage the USB states because they can be sensitive to USB power. So you want to make sure that
all of these are disabled. And I'm guessing they aren't all disabled. But I will actually quickly check this. I think I have my interfaces disabled, but a lot of the other stuff isn't actually disabled. Just the stuff that actually specifically requires it, like for the Antelope Audio, ZenQ, and the Apollo, stuff like that. They basically say, yeah, disable this, but it's actually best practice to disable all of the power management, because it can cause problems with devices disconnecting and things like that, which you don't want to happen. Yeah, I'm not sure what else there is. There are a lot of other things, but I think this is everything I was kind of go over. Obviously, make sure all your drivers are up to date. You want to use the ACIO. Can I go into FL Studio? Let's see here. I don't know what's going to be behind. Oh, yeah, I don't know if I can do that. Where is FL Studio here? I want to go into FL Studio, but I'm not sure where it is in all these windows. Yeah, it's sort of, yeah, I don't know where that is. Okay, there we go. Oh, it froze out. Beautiful. Okay. I think that's it then, because this froze. Let's see if I can make sure I don't lose my... Oh, it's still recording, right? Okay, so maybe I can... Do I have two instances open? I don't even know. Okay. Let's see if I can open up another one here. Yeah, I can probably use another program, or maybe I can just open it like this. Maybe it will open now. Okay, so I think it opened. I don't know if it's going to take over my audio, but under audio settings. So obviously this is different for different software applications. I can't really speak to every audio application. But I'll just basically, so for your ACIO, you want to use the best, like whatever your interface is, whatever the best ACIO driver is for that system. So if I'm using my ZenQ, I'll use the actual ZenQ Synergy system. And then under the actual... Oh, this may actually reset the audio. It's still recording, I guess. Okay. Then under the actual audio, this actually isn't what I was going to show. So under the actual, this isn't actually the one I need to show here. No, this isn't the one I needed to show. I need to show the... No. Oh no, okay. I need to use the... Not the launcher, but the... audio driver control panel in this case. So you'll have something like this. They all sort of have the same type of control interface, like both the Apollo and the ZenQ are sort of the same idea, but you can change the sample rate. The lower the samples, the less latent it is, but the more likely you'll have underruns for your